Hello and welcome to another lesson in advertising. Today's lesson deals with media choices in advertising. Media choices in advertising depend upon a host of factors, including objectives, timing, content of advertisement copies, and advertisement programs. This lesson will cover the following topics. 1. Media planning. 2. Selection of media category, their reach, frequency and impact cost. Number 3. Other factors influencing the choice of media. And number 4. Media scheduling. The subject expert for this lesson is Ms. Adiba Bari, a management professional with specialization in marketing and international business. And I am Amrita Ghoshkumar. So let us begin today's lesson by understanding the concept of media planning. Media planning is an advertising strategy most commonly employed to target consumers by using a variety of informational outlets. Media planning is generally conducted by a professional media planning or an advertising agency. The role of this agency is to find the most appropriate media outlet in an effort to reach the target market. Media planning is a four-step process which consists of 1. Setting media objectives in light of marketing and advertising objectives. Number 2. Developing a media strategy for implementing media objectives. Number 3. Designing media tactics for realizing media strategy. Number 4. Proposing procedures for evaluating the effectiveness of the media plan. Now let us take a deeper look into the media planning process. Media planning starts with setting media objectives. Media objectives usually consist of two key components: target audience and communication goals. The target audience component of the media objective defines who the intended target for the campaign is. The communication goals component of the media objectives defines how many amongst this audience the campaign intends to reach and how many times will it reach them. Target audience. The first objective of the media plan is to select the target audience. That is all the people the media plan will attempt to influence through various forms of brand contact. Communication goals. After media planners define the target audience for a media plan, they set communication goals. That is, to what degree must the target audience be exposed to and interact with brand messages in order to achieve the advertising and marketing objectives. The foundation for media selection lies in media objectives. The reach and potential of a plan is based on the media selection. There are many attributes such as the reach of the media vehicle, the frequency of coverage, media placement continuity, audience simulation, and the scale on which the advertisements are carried. The tactical decisions assist in enhancing the impact of the media message and the influence they have on the target audience. One of the main objectives here is to pick up the most economical media for running the advertisements, while not compromising on the coverage, influence or target audience exposure. Media plan, therefore, is a guide or a handbook on how to pick the right media. There are three concepts which encompasses the planning process. These are reach, impact and frequency. The number of households which have access to a particular media or to whom the message can go out through a particular form of media over a specified duration of time is called the reach. In other words, the total number of different members of the audience who have been exposed at least once to the media form during the specific time is called its reach. This is studied and analyzed as a percentage of the total households in that area. A high reach is required when a new product is being launched, and hence a large number of people have to be made aware of it. A high reach is desirable even in subsequent stages of the product cycle. The total number of times a member of the target audience has been exposed to a particular message on the media is referred to as frequency. It measures the repetitive value of a message that households are exposed to on the media. Higher the frequency, greater is the chance for the target audience to pay attention to the message and desire the product. A high frequency is necessary in the following scenarios: when there is not much to distinguish a brand from its competitor in the audience perception, when there is a time constraint for gauging the reaction, when it is a particularly complicated message to convey, and when the competing brand reaches out to the same target audience with a much higher frequency. Impact measures the actual qualitative value of the exposure of the target audience members to the advertising message. The impact, for example, of a travel ad is much higher when published in a travel magazine as opposed to a sports magazine. GRP, or the gross ratings point, is a number that the media buyer uses to gauge the number of target audience members who have been exposed to a series of advertisements. GRP is equal to reach into frequency. Calculation of GRP provides the total audience size that the media schedule can reach. The efficiency calculation is done by using a few mathematical formulae, including CPRM, or cost per rating point, and CPM, or cost per thousand. The cost per thousand is the dollar expenses calculated to reach out to a target audience of 1,000 members in a particular media. This is the standard measure for media efficiency. These calculations are used to compare two different media choices based on their efficiency. The comparison could be between media from different class or from the same class. CPM is calculated as the cost of media purchase as numerator over the total audience into 1,000 as denominator. Cost per rating point is another measure used specifically for TV, where the cost of the TV slot is divided by the program's rating. Each rating point is equal to 1% of the total number of households in a designated area which are tuned to a particular program. CPRM is equal to the dollar cost of ad placement with particular schedule. Cost and average are the basis for the estimation of efficiency. The advertising quality is not considered, and hence the efficacy of advertising cannot be gauged from these factors. The media selection process involves comprehension of the cost of that media and its capabilities. The factors that advertisers have to consider as criteria for media selection include target market profile, the exposure, frequency, longevity, influence or impact, media accessibility and cost. There are some other important factors which influence advertising as well. These include 1. The campaign aim, 2. The available budget, 3. The client profiling information, 4. Media categorization by audience, 5. Actual product, 6. Purchase appeal for audience, 7. The appealing characteristics of the product and the message, 8. The relative cost, 9. Clutter, and 10. the market strength or potential. A complete understanding of all these factors is necessary before the media selection process can be undertaken. Selection of media, though, is done more or less based on these factors. The campaign goals influence the selection of media from a different perspective. Interestingly, institutional advertising campaign would be run from a different media as compared to a product campaign. That is because in some cases it is the dealer who is more important than the consumer. In some cases, the end user is more important. So, the media which has greater reach across the target audience will be picked. Hence, the prime factor for advertising has a big role to play in media selection. Two important factors related to the budget play a very big role in influencing the advertising efforts. How much money would be spent on advertising is one attribute worth considering. How much budget is available for different segments in the sales area of the company is another attribute. Even if the product needs a TV demonstration for greater appeal, the cost of advertising might discourage the advertiser from doing so. Instead, advertisers might go with the use of multicolor advertisements in the print media to achieve favorable results. This decision is taken based on the budget. The total funds allocated will determine whether the advertisement will appear on TV, in the print media, or in some other media that costs even less. An important factor is the actual number of people reached through the medium. The audience potential is a strong concept that no advertiser is willing to ignore. In the electronic media, this is the number of people who have their sets turned on. In the case of print media, it is the number of total readers. The advertising message varies from one medium to another in order to cater to the different types of audiences who rely on these media. In the process of media selection, it is important to determine the traits of audience or people to whom that media is targeted. Therefore, print and electronic media actually provide insight into the kind of audiences and their traits. There are many segments which make up the audience. These include direct consumers, business dealers, traders, retailers, institutions, end users, industrialists, professionals, regional and local customers, and international end users. Print media is one classification of media, and it includes business magazines, professional and trade magazines, newspapers, specialized magazines, and newspapers. The electronic media includes television, the internet, and the radio. The media selection process is also based on the significant attributes of the product. Every product has its own image, and there will be a media that will correspond to that kind of image or to enhance it further. Here, the selection is important as the wrong media can tarnish the image or offer a distorting view. Comprehending the varieties of products will provide a better insight on what the right media would be for any given product. Similarly, some media types avoid certain types of products. There are restrictions or even prohibitions on advertisers over the use of some forms of media for some kinds of products. It is better to take a look at various product types to get an idea of what media would be ideal for them. There are consumer durable products, luxury products, mass products, and technical, pharmaceutical, and public service products. There are many different types of campaigns as well undertaken to advertise these products. In those scenarios, the media has to be picked carefully. For example, there are campaigns for prestige, for image and for brand building, for direct sales and for trade. There are upmarket and downmarket campaigns too. Advertising is a remarkable thing as it can convince customers to buy the product even when they don't need it at times. The appeal is therefore the way the product motivates the buying behavior of the individual. There are different motives and advertisers have to use one of them to convince the buyer. These could be physiological needs, functional needs, prestige needs, or even security needs. These prompt end consumers to act based on hope, ambition, interests, or goals. The motivation is a promise for the individual from the advertiser or what the product has to offer. Every message should have three different aspects. These are: 1. What makes the message purposeful? 2. What makes the message look different? And 3. What makes the message trustworthy? The appeal should be designed carefully, and this needs special skills. Media should be picked carefully as well to create this appeal. The type of media is based on the kind of appeal that the product or the message looks to generate. Media mix or a particular media is chosen based on the impact that media form can create with that message and advertising campaign. Selection of media is also based on the relative cost. It is imperative to take note of the available budget and to accomplish the execution of the advertising campaign within the allocated budget. Once the media type is selected, relative cost of individual media comes into the picture. For example, for newspapers, the relative cost is based on centimeter per column basis, whereas in the case of magazines, cost per page is worked out. For radio and television, where data is available, cost per every commercial minute per 1,000 viewers in case of TV and listeners in case of radio is concerned. However, there are other factors that are equally, if not more important than relative cost. In case of a tie, in terms of various other criteria, the most economical media is usually picked by advertisers. The attention span of the consumer is divided between several messages from several advertisers. Therefore, a large number of messages make it cluttered for the individual. A good example of a cluttered media vehicle is the newspaper. There are competitive messages from several advertisers. The fight for attention of the customer is a burden on the ad creator, considering that an ad has to be made to stick to the head of the individual. The advertisement has to stand out from this clutter. Moreover, this is quite a problem for those advertisers who cannot demolish competition by buying large spaced units for the ad. So, one has to avoid the scenario where the ad is buried under several bigger ads by large retailers. The market can be seen as a community of people who can be picked out based on traits, preferences, and issues. A community of people who find the uses of the product helpful to solve those issues. A community that can afford the product. In order to market the product, this mix is considered for taking decisions. There are plenty of people involved and plenty of aspects that are taken into consideration. One needs to look at product distribution, the pricing, the brand policies, the advertising budget, and so on. Advertisers have to understand the public before they can decide upon the way to convince the potential market. The public is categorized into three brackets. These include: 1. those who know the brand and like the brand. Number 2, those who know the brand but do not like it. And number 3, those who don't know about the brand and don't care to know about it. These categories of people bear an influence on the media selection process. It is important to understand the categories because different categories can be reached out through different kinds of media. The media selection process could be complicated in some cases and simple in others. It is not complicated when the target audience is an identifiable group, a segment that can easily be reached out through a particular kind of media. If it is not a limited group, finding the market or heavy users of the service could be slightly tougher. In a lot of cases, it is not simple to identify the specific segment or isolate it. The media type is therefore important to reach out to similar kinds of people with similar interests. The advertisers have to identify the prospective customers and the kind of media they might be keen on using. In some cases, it could use the subjects that generate interest amongst the target audience members. In the end, the right medium has to be picked to enhance the efficacy of the message that reaches the target audience. Media scheduling is a program or plan that identifies the media channels used in an advertising campaign and specifies insertions or broadcast dates, positions and duration of the messages. Media scheduling refers to the programming of media insertions. Media scheduling depends upon a number of factors such as the nature of product, that is whether they are consumer usables, durables or industrial products. The nature of sales, that is whether seasonal or regular sales. Product life cycle, whether it is the introduction, growth, maturity or decline stage. Pattern of a competitor's programs, the entry of new competitors and also the availability of funds for advertising. This involves the scheduling and timing of advertisement. The scheduling shows the number of advertisements that are to appear in each medium, the size of the advertisements and the date on which they are scheduled to appear. There are many ways of scheduling an advertising program. No single way can be said to be the best for all advertisers. Each advertiser must prepare a specific schedule most suitable for its advertising objectives. What may be good for one advertiser and his product may be bad for another one. Even for the same advertiser, the best at one stage of the product life cycle may not be suitable at another stage. An advertiser, for example, may schedule to buy 6 pages space in a monthly consumer magazine. Alternatively, he may buy 1 page space every month for the first 3 months. Then he may not buy space for the next 3 months and then again take 1 page space every month for the next 3 months. There may be a variety of schedules of advertisements. Scheduling directly refers to the patterns of time in which the advertisement is going to run. It helps fixing up the time slots according to the advertiser so that the message to be delivered will reach target audience in a proper way with proper timings. There are basically 3 models of advertising scheduling as follows. This model is primarily for non-seasonal products, yet sometimes for seasonal products. Advertising runs steadily with little variation over the campaign period. There may be short gaps at regular intervals and also long gaps, for instance, one ad every week for 52 weeks and then a pause. This pattern of advertising is prevalent in service and packaged goods sector that require continuous reinforcement on the audience for the top of mind recollection at the point of purchase. Advantages: it works as a reminder, it covers the entire purchase cycle, cost efficiencies in the form of large media discounts and positioning advantages within the media. This model is also called bursting. As the name suggests, this is a model for season-based products. The advertisements here run at very irregular intervals. Advertisements are for very short periods and sometimes no ads at all. The ads are in concentrated forms. Television and radio are the most used media types in this method. Example, ads for warm clothes in the Indian market. Advantages here are advertisers buy heavier weight than competitors for a relatively shorter period of time. There is little waste since advertising concentrates on the best purchasing cycle period, and a series of commercials appear as a unified campaign on different media vehicles. Pulsing combines flighting and continuous scheduling by using a low advertising level all year round and heavy advertising during peak selling periods. Product categories that are sold year-round but experience a surge in sales at intermittent periods are good candidates for pulsing. For instance, deodorants sell all year, but more in summer months. Advantages: it covers different market situations, and advantages of both continuity and flighting is possible. Thus, the points to remember while scheduling an advertisement are: 1. Selecting a proper media type for running ads. 2. Selecting a correct time for running ads so that the purpose is solved. And 3. Advertisements should be sufficient enough in numbers to deliver the message to the target audience. Let us now quickly summarize all of that we have learned today. First, we discussed about media planning. Media planning is an advertising strategy most commonly employed to target consumers using a variety of informational outlets. Media planning is generally conducted by a professional media planning or an advertising agency. It is a 4-step process. We learnt about target audience, communication goals, and so on. The second topic which was discussed today was selection of media category, their reach, frequency, and their impact. Then we also discussed some of the factors which influence media selection. There are a number of factors like the budget, the objective of the campaign, the product, and so on, which influence the decision of the advertiser, and therefore the same must be considered while selecting the media. The last topic for today was media scheduling. Media scheduling is a program or plan that identifies the media channels used in an advertising campaign and specifies insertion or broadcast dates, positions, and duration of the messages. There are basically 3 models of advertising scheduling: pulsing, flighting, and continuity. That is all for today. Hope you have understood the various different topics discussed today. We'll see you again with another topic on advertising media choices soon. Till then, take care and goodbye.